There was a wonderful sense of community, and the shops, you go down the road now and they're not proper shops anymore, and that's a sign of old age, isn't it? Oh, it wasn't like that when I was young. I think that's what old people always say, but the community was centred.
I enjoyed my childhood here. I thought it was absolutely great.
The floor in the living area was stone flags. We had a backyard where we shared the toilet with the house next door. No hot and cold running water. Gas lighting when I first went there.
You used to have the old-fashioned stove with, you know, in the not stove, in the fireplace, and it was in all day long. There's a massive big kettle on the top with the water always boiling, and there was the oven by the side of it.
We didn't have any bathrooms in the houses then, and so we used to go on Saturday to the wash baths, which was up Grosvenor Street, and there was a woman who used to run the water in the bath for you, and you used to have to feel it and say whether it was hot enough for you, and it didn't matter really because she wouldn't give you any more if you wanted it. But you used to take all your things, you used to take like bath cubes and talcum powder and stuff like that, you used to take it all with you, and put your hair in rollers and stuff like that, you know, just to get nice and polished and clean, ready to go out on Saturday night, because it was quite hard actually. People remember all the good things, but it was quite hard keeping clean and trying to keep your clothes clean, trying to keep yourself clean in those houses.
Your mum used to send you out with any bits of rags and you'd get either a balloon or a donkey stone. More often than not you got the donkey stone because everybody liked to do the steps. I used to do my Auntie Pat's. Now she was very refined. She liked it wetting, putting on and then wiping off, so it was just very delicate. My Granny Row, she liked hers putting on thick, wiping over and leaving thick, and thick stripe on each side.
One weekend there was a bombing raid in Ardwick Green, and next to the Apollo was a barracks, a little barracks. In between or next to the barracks was an air raid shelter. So she went with my gran, they were out shopping, and went to the air raid shelter because the sirens were going, and it was full. So they had to run down Hyde Road to the next one, I don't know where it was, possibly near my old school, and they managed to get in it. But the one they were going in was hit direct.
My mother was with the baby and when the air raid shelter stopped, and my dad's job, because he couldn't go to war, was to see to the horses. I remember him picking me up and running, but of course he hopped, didn't he? And he had me under his arm like that and running down to the air raid shelters, and they were right opposite in Tipping Street, the shelters, weren't they?
Oh yes, right. I was in it, yes.
Yeah.
And they had a toothache, they took us in the air raid shelters, and they had a toothache, and the lady from the pub went out and got me something to put on my tooth.
When I came home, the bombing had stopped in Manchester, so young people were bringing the children home. And there was no school, they couldn't get me into school. One of the biggest problems I had, well, I arrived from Wales, nobody could understand me because I had a strong Welsh accent.
I loved the local school and still in touch, well, up to the past 10 years ago with one of my teachers. And you did as you were told. But you respected your teachers for years later. Lovely school, which is no longer there, unfortunately.
We used to have pitch battles with Nichols and St Greg's. We were deadly enemies. I don't know why, because they regarded Ardwick Tech as a posh school, and we regarded Nichols as misfits. You know, so there wasn't a lot of love left between us. And when you ventured up to Ardwick Green, the school on the corner, St Greg's, I think they had burgundy coats, and as soon as you saw the burgundy coats you were off. There was only like two of us, but they came out in force. It was about 20, so you just, that's where I learned to run. You know, it's one of those things, the faster you run, the better it was for you. But everything else, the school days were great.
Bennett Street was on one side, and on this side was Wycliffe Street. And over that side where Bennett Street was, that was just before the bridge. Next door to that was a big cheese shop on the corner, And then there was Timson's shoe shop over there. Next door to that there was a bike shop, because I bought Sandy's bike from there. And that was before you came to the Hyde Road pub on that row. There was a draper's shop. And then on this side, like when you came out of Wycliffe Street, just round the corner, there was Jenny's fish shop. That was one of the shops I did always remember.
Most people wore hats when they went out, which seems that people even had gardening hats and shopping hats, and people often went shopping with either a hat or a headscarf.
As a child, I would come here very often with my mother, who would love to go to the Co-op shop in Downing Street, a very big, for that time, very big retail store with a cafe, and she loved that because she was a lifelong Co-op member.
My mother and father were quite keen on going to church. They didn't go every week, in fairness, but I think in those days, it was a bit of an occasion in the sense that, you know, you put your Sunday best on, basically. You know, there was no ifs and buts. You had to wear your best clothes, and it was a bit of a fashion event, I think, at some point, because everybody was the same. You know, no matter how rich or poor they were, they all put the best clothes they had on. And this church, in those days, very busy. There's a lot of people in here. I can remember things like when they did have remembrance days, and they'd have a church parade here or an army parade here for the barracks. There'd be a band playing on the upper tier of the church at the back, you know, a proper military band, and it was quite impressive, really. And then the soldiers would be parading outside. And then, obviously, Sunday school, I wasn't keen on Sunday school, I have to be honest with you. And I did anything I could, feign illness, anything to get out of it. But the church lads brigade, that was good. Yeah, because it was just lads, and it was all the boys games, you know, British Bulldog and all that kind of stuff you play in the school hall. So yeah, that was good fun.
We used to do marching, drill. We had a band, which over the years was very successful. I was at various times a bass drummer in that band and a bugler, taking part in the Whit Walks. And also one of the fondest memories I have is having played the last post on Remembrance Sunday in the church, and also when the organ was restored, playing a trumpet descant while the organ thundered away, leading between 100 and 150 choristers.
You started sort of saving for the Whitworths from Christmas. You used to be given a band card, which you used to go round to your friends and neighbours and gather threepences, sixpences towards the main band. And then your parents used to give you, say, 2 shillings a week to go towards the material, because all the children in their age groups was in different tableaus. Lemon, pink, blue, purple. You all had a tableau where you all dressed in the same colour. You'd, at the end, go and collect your material and go to a dressmaker and have it made to your own style, but you all had to be in this colour. And there'd be about 20 or 30 children all in these block colours. But the main ones was up at the front when you'd been confirmed you was all in white. But then you was all in the colours afterwards. It would start at the army barracks, and it wouldn't finish until the end of the road. There was that many children. There was Mothers' Union, there was the Boys' Brigade, there was the Girl Guides, the bands, the choir. There was that many.
The Boys' Brigade.
There's got to be 700 to 800 children walking.
Monday was for the Protestants, Friday was the Catholics, Sunday was the Italians.
Well, there was thousands of churches. Well, hundreds of churches walking, but St Thomas's was a very prominent church. It was the first 6 churches to walk, had a service in Albert Square. And we was always one of the first 6 services because we was a predominant church in the area. Thousands walked, thousands. And people used to go to watch the walks. They'd start to sit and take these fold-up deck chairs. They'd go there from, 5 in the morning to get a good seat.
They bring sandwiches, drinks, it's like a picnic.
Yeah. And they'd go 5 or 6 deep all the way. The walk was 6 miles, 3 miles there and 3 miles back. And you never came across a place where there was not crowds of people. And they used to come out of the pubs, they used to cheer, they used to sing.
My great-grandma, Granny Rowe, she was a seamstress. She used to make the dresses that we wore, me and my sister. We used to buy the material from the church so that all the girls that were all dressed the same. The styles might have been different, but the colour was the same. And my Granny Rowe was so poor, sometimes she had to pawn the material to get through the week or the fortnight, whatever it was. And then just before week, she'd go and buy it all back and be up all day and night making the dresses, not just for us, but for people that had ordered them as well. It was wonderful. We had the bands, and as we went out of the churchyard, St Thomas's churchyard, we used to sing Onward Christian Soldiers, and it was lovely, yeah.
The entertainment round here was the Apollo Cinema on Saturday mornings. Go to the miners, he'd take us there.
Oh, it was great. You'd queue up and you'd either go in the balcony or downstairs, but if you was in the balcony, you could chuck stuff on them down there. I still remember the song everybody used to have to sing. We are the boys and girls well known of the miners ABC, and every Saturday all line up to see the films we like and shout aloud with glee. We like to laugh and have a sing-song. Just a happy crowd are we. We're all pals together. We are the miners, ABC.
The crowd that we're bothered with was from the Sunday school here. And we've been known to go to church at night. They used to have a class sometimes and come out and go straight across to the Apollo because they had dancing on a Sunday.
We'd come to Ardwick Green and we used to have a walk up here. It used to take us 10 minutes to walk up. If we had nothing to do, we'd walk up and have a walk around the park and probably meet some young girls and sit on the farm like you do, teenagers, and say, we'll see you at the Apollo tonight.
My mother and her sisters and my cousins, we always go to the Hippodrome on a Friday night, and it was a full show, 14 or 15 acts, and whoever was a sort of a comedian on the show, someone like Des O'Connor or something like that, they were the people who acted as a compare. I've seen everybody on there, Maxwell, all them, Vic Oliver, people like that, and even saw Buddy Holly, on his one trip to Manchester. That was absolutely fantastic.
Everybody moved. I had aunties and grandparents and cousins and all relatives living in all the nearby streets, and we all were moved all away from each other, really, all everywhere scattered about.
When we moved to Gorton, when we moved out of Fairfield Street, I used to keep coming back here to church and to brigade and youth club and pubs. Most of my social life was centred around Ardwick still.
I suppose in many ways a lot of the houses have gone, which in many ways they were not the best in that they didn't have the facilities that you would expect in a modern house, but there was a wonderful sense of community. The community was centred around places, particularly like a big church like this, and the local shops, and of course everybody knew you, because I remember going shopping where we lived and everybody knew me, even as a small child. If I went and asked for something from my mother, so no, she doesn't like that one, she likes that one. Well, nobody would know that anymore, would they? And you were never naughty, because if you were, somebody would have told your mother before you got home. So people looked out for each other, really. I mean, nothing's perfect, is it? And you can look back with rose-coloured spectacles, and there were problems and troubles in those days, but there was very much a sense of community.